Okay, I'll bring back a little bit here. Another ant recited. I'll be back in further here. Allah split the moon, said one of the ants in a little woman's voice. It certainly wasn't Muhammad, may Allah pray and give him blessing, because Allah gave no signs to Muhammad, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, since the Talmud of old treated a she-camel of Allah harshly, hamstringing her, and the Talmud not being in awe of such a wondrous sign as a she-camel coming out of the side of a rock. Because of what the Talmud did, there have been no signs, miracles, since the time of the Talmud. Rahman asked the ants, did the Talmud destroying signs and miracles with the hamstringing of Allah's camel out of the side of a rock happen before or after the time of Allah's miraculous prophet Jesus Christ? There was a pause. Well, asked Rahman. A tiny ant voice then said, no comment. Another ant recited Quran. Another recited Quran 5. Recited the Quran 5:101 again, saying, "O ye who believe, ask no questions about things which, if made plain to you, may cause you trouble. But if you ask about things when the Quran is being revealed, they will be made plain to you. Some people before you did ask such questions, and on that account lost their faith." Rahman blinked his eyes and asked, "What the fire am I doing? Am I actually talking with ants?" Solomon talked with ants, as mentioned in the Clear Signs Quran surah called the Ant, said the ant that seemed to be the leader. Amazing! Talking ants out here on the playa? How can you exist, oh ants, out here on the playa? The leader of the ants then said in her voice, Allah Soprano told us this day would come as we tunneled out here like our brave brothers of Hamas, the mole Muslims, tunneling under Israel to kidnap and kill the quote, apes and pigs, unquote, and their children in occupied Palestine, who have invaded Allah's land and who will refuse to pay jizya tax when our brave brothers of ISIS conquer them. We are here to partay, O Muhammad Abdullah Rahman, formerly known as Sandy Prince, when he spent most of his life in California getting getting D's in grade school and kind of slacking off playing a lot of video games. Wow, said Rahman in wonder. You ants not only keep on who the human kings of the earth are, like knowing who Solomon was, you even know Joe Blows, such as myself? You even know who Joe Blows are, such as myself. There was a huge crashing boom when the moon went back together. Where is Allah? Asked Rahman. When the moon returned to the waning moon it was, Rahman saw something pass by in the sky. The object continued to fly about like a witch on a broom, briefly blocking out the moon. But it wasn't a witch on a broom. Instead, it was a little pudgy guy standing on a flying carpet. The flying carpet landed in front of the trapped Rahman, and the midget of a man got out. "Who the fire are you?" laughed Rahman. The little pudgy midget of a man said with a booming, deep, godlike voice, "We are the all-knowing, wise. We are the most compassionate, most merciful. We are Allah." Rahman burst out laughing and said, "But you're so funny looking. How can you be this?" Allah then recited, "We shall recite our messenger. May Allah pray on him and give him blessing. May we pray on him and give him blessing. I have told you so much about the Dajjal, Antichrist, that I am afraid you may not understand. The Antichrist is short, hen-toed, woolly-haired, one-eyed, and eye sightless, and neither protruding nor deep-seated. If you are confused about him, know that your Lord is not one-eyed." "What?" shouted Rahman. "You look like the Dajjal? The very one who who is to dress up a multitude of Jews in heavy striped clothing in an effort to take back Jerusalem from our fellow believers? You look like the Dajjal, who will then be beaten up and killed by Jesus and the Mahdi will then slaughter all the Jews, pigs, and Christians off the face of the earth until they submit to you, O Allah? Allah then said, if you can understand the riddle, you know that our messenger, may we pray on him and give him blessing, was describing us when describing the Antichrist, except that we have two eyes, as you can see. Before Rahman could contemplate the significance of it, he suddenly felt the ground moving again. Under the light of the moon, a mountain seemed to be rising up into the middle of the desert. Now what the fire is that? Shouted Rahman with terror. It's the Daba, shouted Mutt and the ants with terror in their voices. A huge, monstrous creature of a beast began to rise up out of the flat desert landscape like some Godzilla-like monster. Its head was like that of a bull, its eyes like that of a pig, its ears like that of an elephant, but Rahman didn't know if its ears were like that of an Indian elephant or that of an African elephant, for it kept the ears close to its bull head. It had horns like that of a stag. It had a neck like that of an ostrich, not an emu, but an ostrich. The chest was like that of a lion. The skin of it was like that of a tiger. Due to the moonlighting, Rahman couldn't tell if it was a Bengal tiger or a Siberian. Its flanks were like that of a cat. Its tail was like that of a ram, and its feet and legs were like that of a camel. Each joint had a distance of 12 cubits between them. Damn, that's a monster, cried Rahman in fear. The huge chimera of a monster opened its mouth and made a loud moo, oink, trumpet roar, meow, roar, donkey, that finished off with that of a loud vomiting sound, since it was also part camel. Rahman looked confused and asked, why did it make the sound of a donkey? Doesn't the Quran say that the brain of the donkey is the worst of sounds? Yeah. Yeah, why did it make the sound of a donkey? Doesn't the Quran say the brain of the ass, donkey, is the worst of sounds? The little pudgy man who claimed to be Allah looked a little shifty-eyed and said, it's substituting for the ostrich, since ostriches are usually silent. Oh, said Rahman. The little pudgy man with hen toes, woolly hair, and eyes that neither truded nor were deep-seated, and called himself Allah, said, this same beast you now see before you, that will later emerge from the earth, and shake the dust from its head, like it's done so here on the Black Rock Desert. It will have with it the ring of Solomon and the rod of Moses. People will be terrified of it as you are now, O our slave, and they will try to run away like you would do if you were not trapped in clay. But they who try to escape it will not be able to, because such will be the decree of us. It will destroy the nose of every unbeliever with the rod of Moses, and write the word kafir, unbeliever, on his forehead, writing it upon the forehead of every non-believer, whereby his whole face will become black. Rahman looked a little confused and said, damn, but it's so huge. It seems like it would be like one of us trying to write kafir on the head of a flea. Silence, roared the little guy who called himself Allah. The little pudgy guy continued saying, it will be It will adorn the face of every believer and write the word Mumin, faithful believer, on the forehead, and it will speak to people. Rahman thought and said, Doesn't it turn you white if you are a mu'min and black if you are a kafir? Yes, said Allah. Allah then started reciting the Arabic. We started something in Arabic Rahman couldn't understand. Yet, due to LSD, spelled out in the air Arabic words that appeared as, and here they are. Allah then said in our Quran, it is written, on the eternal tablet in our heaven, a tablet that is eternal and unchangeable, quote, and when the word is fulfilled concerning them, we shall bring forth a Daba from the earth to speak unto them, because mankind had no faith in our revelation. Rahman then realized that it might be very near the end of the world, for it was written that the Daba will be at the end of time, when disintegration, corruption, disbelief, and evil are supposed to prevail. The little hairy man, who was the most compassionate, most merciful, continues saying, that quote, most compassionate, most merciful, continues saying, when our commands are ignored, the religion distorted, and made a mockery of, it is then we will bring the Daba out from the earth, just like it is now before you, O slave of us. The first of the signs that will come is the rising of the sun from the place of its setting, and the emergence of the Daba to people in Duha. So the sun actually rises out of the black rock desert? Silence, shouted Allah. Allah continued with, whichever of these two occurs before the other, then the other is right behind it. In the light of the rising of the sun from the west will take place before the emergence of the Daba. The Daba will appear on the same day the sun rises from the west, or very soon thereafter. The wisdom in the Daba is about to appear, O slave of us. The Daba is more than Gog and Magog. They are less unusual in that they are all human beings. The emergence of the Daba, whose form will be very strange, and behold, it is, will now address you and classify you as thou witness the first of the earthly signs. Thou? asked Rahman. Ahman continued with, thou witness the first of the earthly signs, while the rising of the sun from the west is the first of the heavenly signs. Man, said the ants, you are so deep, O Allah. And heavy, said Mutt by himself, in its Scooby voice. And heavy. The huge monster that Allah called the Daba suddenly said in a booming, deep, thunderous voice that shook all the desert, mankind has no faith in our revelations. Our revelations? Our? Responded Rahman. Is this thing you as well, O Allah? So you can be as ubiquitous, omnipresent as the God of the Bible? I think I'll end it here.